welcome back to WRPB Studios. The clocks of yesteryear are something that we don't see very often, but on occasion we do have them, and they may need a fix. So with me today is Phil Hollis, Clocks by Hollis.
That's correct.
Welcome to the studio.
Well, thank
Glad
you.
to have you.
Nice to be here.
So, Phil, you've been doing this just a couple of years, correct?
A few more than that. I started in 1971, so this is my 50th year doing clock repair.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that you've seen a number of different clocks through the years and
Oh, yes.
have had the chance to touch each one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say your favorite clock would be?
Wow. That'd be a hard one. There's so many. I have in my own collection, in my home, the ones that I've felt closest to. And a clock is something that when somebody comes into the store, they normally warm, if they like clocks at all, they warm up to one style or another.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some of them they just overlook, and it seldom, if ever, gets the same reaction out of this person for the different ones. So, in other words, all the people coming in, they all have their own favorite. They seldom have the same.
Sure.
So,
Over the years, 1971 seems like forever ago, but it really wasn't.
it was.
I guess. What are some of the oldest clocks that you've had the chance to work on?
Well, I've had a chance to work on several different ones. I have a couple in the store that are of 200 years old,
Wow.
but I've worked on some others that are over 300 years old. So they've been making the clocks that we would associate with in today for about the last 300 to 400 years.
So, the makings of a clock, the things that make it go, and each little intricate piece, are those things that you can still readily get available? Is it something you can fashion yourself sometimes?
That happens. There are very few things. When you get something in today's society, if it gets more than 10 or 15 years, you can't get parts. Well, that happens in ours as well. We a lot of times have to fabricate a part or recondition a piece that's in there, and so that it gets usable again. There's the warranty is up on all of them, so they just we have to work around the problems that they have and can be creative about it at the same time.
So you've had your shop for 50 years now. Are you able to go out and do house calls for bigger clocks, or do people require to come in and bring it to you?
On grandfather clocks, we do go to the person's home, we evaluate the clock, and if it needs to be brought in, we bring it in. There's very little that can really be done on a clock in some person's home because we don't have all the tools and
Sure.
equipment and everything else. If it's adjustments, that's one thing, but on a clock that hasn't been cleaned in a while, it's very difficult to make adjustments on it because that clock is not responding to the power that's in the clock by either a weight or a mainspring. So
Right.
the wear sets up and the dirt and the oil does.
So I'm sure that some of these clocks, I mean, they've got fairly small faces, so they've got to be pretty intricate to work on.
They can be, yes. We get something as simple as just the time only, which it means it just tells you time. Whereas in a clock, you can get ones that strike, which is generally the half hour and the hour, or you can get ones that are chiming clocks that go off every 15 minutes. And people that like that really look forward to it. Others, they just haven't appreciated it, that's all.
Sure. What got you into the clock business?
That was a long time ago. I still remember, though. I was innocent enough. I went into an antique store. My wife and I were there, and we went in, and a guy about my age came out of the back room, bent over, with glasses, with the spectacles on and everything else, and which I use all the time too. And he said, what are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for a grandfather clock. He didn't have any. He said, come on back here and I'll show you what I'm doing. I said, okay. So I went back there, and he had about 3 other people in there that he was training to work on clocks. And I said, wow, this is really interesting. And I was an engineer in town, and I didn't like my job.
No.
I just didn't like it. But I told him, I said, do you ever take on any more apprentice? You know, that's what it is. He says, right now I'm kind of filled up, but I showed enough interest that he says, you know, I'm going to give you a try.
That's great.
And it led one thing to another, and he finally got rid of the other people he was training and took me on. And after a couple years of working with him 5 nights a week, he felt that I was worth it, and he didn't want to lose me, so he offered me a partnership in his clock business.
So this isn't something you started on your own.
No.
You joined and continued on.
Yeah, apprentice work is the best way to do it. You have to get under somebody that knows what they're doing to be able to learn
Sure.
from their experiences and everything else. There aren't any schools for it like in watches. I haven't seen a good school for it all. There are several books on the subject, but, you know.
So you do clocks, obviously. I would think you could do watches.
Not necessarily. Most people that do watches will not and do not want to work on clocks, and vice versa. I have in the past have picked up the knowledge of watches, and I used to do watch repair, but I limit myself right now to just doing the pocket watches. And that's even getting more demanding because you can't get the parts for them.
So it's really a
Parts
different,
is a real problem, yes.
it's a different game
It
altogether.
is. It's a different game. I can still get a lot of the parts for my clocks, but the ones I can't get, I have to fabricate and make for the situation that I have.
Sure. Have you found that with the way things are changing and technology the way it is, that it's more difficult to find clientele?
People have a tendency, I have found in this area especially, they have found that, I found that they seek me out because I'm one, if not the only one in the area that has left after all these years, because there used to be several in this area that I used to know. But I'm one of the last ones here, along with my son. He's not only apprenticed through me, but he is taking over the business gradually, and that's what the plan was, and that's the best way to go for it. But people just don't understand clocks anymore like they used to.
Sure. Sure. It's a whole, there's some beautiful clocks out there, you know, things that people don't realize.
They're beautiful on the outside, but the beauty to me is on the inside, because that's where the clock is.
You're kind of like a
So,
surgeon.
Yeah, I'm like a surgeon, yeah.
I like the way you look,
Yeah.
but I'd really like to cut you open.
I get them. I get very intimate with them. So.
Sure you do. So, Phil, you've been in the area for a while. It sounds like your business will continue to thrive with your son taking over. So that's great.
That's the plan, and it's been working out very nicely. He enjoys it as much as I do, and as long as I can be there, I want to be there because I still enjoy it. Because with the work that I'm doing, I have enjoyed it all my life, and it's really not work for me. It's sometimes frustrating, but it's not work.
Sure.
So, and it's the same way with him. So,
There you go.
yeah.
Tell us how we can find you.
Well, we're in Port St. Lucie on, what is that street?
Village Green.
Village Green Drive, that's right. Where you make a right onto it or a left, and because crosstown is the opposite direction, and we are on the north side of the road, which is on your left as you go in on that, about 500 feet down the road.
Okay.
So it's not very far off, though.
And you have a website?
Yes, we do. It's clocksbyhollis.com. I have to admit, I have done the work on that, but I find it's really difficult to keep up on it because I sell clocks and I buy clocks and I don't always get them on there. But it does give a person a sense of what we have in our store.
Great.
So,
Well, Phil, we appreciate you coming in and telling
Well-
us about your business, and
well,
good luck.
I'm proud to be here.
We
It's
hope that
nice.
everything keeps going for you the way that it has been.
Well, I appreciate that and thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll be back.